Susan Gwiasda, Public Information Officer with the City of Ames.
And I'm Donald Kom, Director of Electric Services for the City of Ames.
On Monday, August 10th, 2020, we had an unprecedented storm in Ames. It brought with it extremely high winds, rain, and a tremendous amount of damage. We had a community-wide electric outage. So Don, tell me, how does an electric crew strategize where to restore people's power? And when you have an entire city without energy, how do you attack that problem?
So the way we attack that problem, very good question, Susan, is we look at our highest voltage. We have what are called transmission lines. We first have to get power to the transmission lines. This was accomplished on Monday evening. Once we have power on our transmission lines, the next step is to power our distribution substations, and we have 8 in the city. That's all been accomplished. From that, you turn on the feeders. That's similar to a breaker within your home. We had to go and reset every breaker like you would in your home, and we're going breaker one at a time. You would hope that that would restore power to all of the customers served on that feeder. Unfortunately, along those lines, we have many trees that have taken down parts of those lines. So those homes that are the closest to the substation, we were able to energize fairly quickly. We're now working down what I would call the backbone of some of our distribution system. This includes 13th Street, this includes 20th Street, this includes Grand, this includes 24th Street. We first have to rebuild that backbone, and that's what we're doing today and going forward. Meanwhile, we have other crews in here from other cities that from that backbone, they're continuing to build what I guess I would refer to as the ribs, or the lines that run north and south from there that then can pick up homes. And these lines that run north and south go through alleys, go through backyards, and you can imagine it's a very time-intensive process to work down those lines, and that's what we're going through.
So Don, what do you say to customers who say, there's nobody in my neighborhood, nobody's working on my problem?
That's a good question. So a way to look at this is just because you don't see a crew on your block or you see a crew on the block next door, some of these substations, some of these feeders that feed your home could be blocks away. So we could be working on 13th and that will power your home 5 blocks away. So you want us to be on 13th so that we can bring power to 15th or 17th Street and things like that.
So is it fair to say that as we restore power, the next additional restoration becomes increasingly difficult?
It does become increasingly difficult from several aspects. A, we have poles that have been snapped. We have trees. B, we have trees that are in the lines. We have to first make sure that those wires are safe. We then bring in crews that will remove the trees. We then either replace poles or restring that wire before we can then either make sure it's safe before we energize it. It's only then that we get power into the alleys, and you still may not have power if the connection from the alley is not connected to your house.
So Don, if people are without power, what should they do right now?
Okay, so right now, a couple of the things basically to look at. One would be, do you have any damage to your home? If you have an overhead line that feeds your home, is what we call the mast, has that pulled away from your home? Do you have down lines that connect from your home to the power pole or to the transformer in your backyard? If that is damaged, you should contact an electrician. They can make that safe and can reinstall that for you.
Also, I think we're still asking people to call the power outage number if they're still without electricity. That is 515-239-5240. That helps us identify addresses that are without power, and we can restore them more quickly. Also, the City of Ames does have a hotline. If you need immediate attention, please call us at 515-239-5670. Don, any other advice for our residents right now?
One other thing I would think about, as we bring power back on, I know a lot of people have been without power for days and they want to turn on their air conditioners, they want to power up their computers and cell phones. One of the things that happens, if everybody does that when we turn on the power, we get what we call a large inrush current. And we've had some situations where we bring power on, but because of the increased high level of demand, it starts blowing fuses down the line. It sounds kind of like pops or firecrackers going off. This actually complicates things because then rather than taking our crews and letting them move on to the next site, they've got to go down the lines and trace out where those pops have occurred and try to replace those fuses. So we kindly ask that once your power's restored, start with things like lights first. Let the refrigerators and things like that. Please do not crank your air conditioner trying to get your house down to 68 degrees. Give it 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Let the system build back up before you start really turning that air conditioner down. That would be extremely helpful for us and allow our crews to move on to the next site.
So some things that you can do to help us help you. This is really an unprecedented storm. The damage is severe and substantial and citywide. So please be patient with us. We see you, we understand your dilemma, and we are working hard to get you repowered. Thank you.
Thank you.